Zambian people know that NCP is a people's choice.
It's still called neo-colonialism, where they're still controlling us and controlling our resources. So under DPP, we'll restructure the existing mining agreements.
We need to make sure that a lot of Zambians get economically empowered through the opportunities that we have. I would love that we also build our own.
Comrade Winter Kabimba, he's also an icon in his own regard. He can boast that during his tenure, he managed to bring PF into government, which the others have taken back into opposition.
UNIP is still viable, it's still there. The issue we have with UNIP is just leadership.
To change the constitution, you need a sober period. Period before elections has never been sober. The period before election is about contestation for power between political actors.
If you don't know how the mind operates, then you are good as dead.
We are supporting this because Kanyama is a population of over 65% young people.
If somebody is appointed, I don't think it actually restricts them from upholding integrity and being able to carry out their duties.
20 years from now, you and me will no longer be youths. What would you have done when you were a youth? What policies did we pass to further and favor our children?
Things are not moving. They are only arresting people who are opposition. There is a lot of corruption going on. Look at in the Ministry of Health, what happened is the one containers. We haven't even found out what happened. Who did that? Wakalamba, Zambia, Gainayo Naika. Kuno Kuchong, Mukese, Mona, what is happening in it, and the very one. Now you conquer country. It can't sponsor anything.
The platform every Monday and Thursdays at 9:40 only on Joy FM Radio.
The Platform is a program that addresses your political, social, and economic well-being. Broadcast every Monday and Thursdays
at 09:30 hours
on Joy FM Radio. Call or SMS to participate. Remember, the views expressed on the platform are not of the station, but those of either the guests or the participants. Joy FM Radio, for your ears only.
It is a lovely morning and warm welcome to our dear listeners and viewers. Today's edition of the Platform program on JFM Radio 92.1 MHz. This is an interactive governance program designed to discuss matters of national interest ranging from political, social, and economic issues with reference to our country. I'm your host. My name is Maidon Kilalo, and today we turn our attention to a topical national subject which is looking at leadership, governance, and Zambia's future. And under leadership, we will try and spend a little bit of time on the credibility and sustainability of Zambian political alliances. Now, political alliances are strategic arrangements between parties to pursue shared goals, consolidate electoral strength, and ensure mutual benefit. By contrast, coalitions are often formed after elections to enable governance once the results dictate the shape of parliament. Alliances promise combined resources, shared messaging, and policy alignment. But they also pose challenges of cohesion, trust, and leadership balance. To examine whether these alliances in Zambia are credible, sustainable, and of benefit to citizens or Zambians, I have a rare honor and privilege of hosting members of the We Are One Zambia Alliance, also known as WAZA. Firstly, we have New Heritage Party President, and she is also a member of We Are One Zambia Alliance Council of Presidents, Madam Kateka. Madam, it is a pleasure to have you on the Platform program.
Thank you so much. Good morning to our listeners. It's been a while since I've been on Joy FM, but I'm really glad to be back here.
Welcome back home.
Thank you.
All right. As I indicated, I'm also joined by the Zambia We Want Secretary General, and at the same time, he is We Are One Zambia Alliance was a Secretary General, is it?
Yes.
And the spokesperson, Honorable Mhavi Lungu. Sir, good morning and welcome to the Platform program.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here, and I'm also glad to be here with my president, Chishala.
Absolutely amazing. Once again, on the program today, we are discussing leadership, governance, and Zambia's future. This conversation is about Zambia's present realities. Your expertise and insights will help shed more light on this very important topic. A little later, we'll be engaging our listeners to participate on the program by means of calling us. Unfortunately, today we're using a different number. The usual number has got issues, so you'll be coming through on 0975-468-33 and 0980069876. Those are the numbers. We're also live on Prime Television Zambia, as well as all our socials, that is JFM Zambia and Prime Television Zambia Facebook pages. You can as well listen to JFM Radio by following our live stream on jfm.ptvzambia.com. President Chishala, kateka, getting straight into our conversation with regards the credibility and sustainability of Zambian political alliances. A certain individual said, one's future direction is clear only when one is grounded in one's past. Not long ago, you and other leaders in the We Are One Zambia Alliance were among the Council of Presidents in the United Kwacha Alliance, which came on a political scene with a bang. Can you bring us to speed with the current status of the United Kwacha Alliance?
Okay, so thank you so much for that question, and I think it's very cardinal and important for us, because we've had a number of alliances before that seem not to have worked well. And UKA, as you said, came with a bang. Now, why did we form the United Kwacha Alliance? I think that it was hinged on the realization that this nation really does need to have a leadership that comes up with solutions for this country, and we needed to work together towards that goal. I know that when people look at alliances, they think that we make those alliances for the sole purpose of removing whoever is the incumbent at the time. But that was not the case. Our intention was to come up with solutions for this country. So we had a number of parties. There were like 16 of us. Unfortunately, you know, when we initially started, there were 7 of us. It was FDD, there was, you know, by Edith Nawakwi.
UPL?
ULP,
yes.
Yeah, ULP, Basakwiwa, Scotta Jackson, Silavwe's Golden Party, Savoy Imboila's NDC, the PF, you know, ECL, myself, and one other. Who have I forgotten?
Citizenship? No?
Yeah, Citizens First. Citizens First, Harry Kalaba. We were later on joined by others, and unbeknown to us, when we were joined by these people, they started to push an agenda. So what we had agreed right from the beginning is that, number one, the first thing we would do is come together, which we did, 7 parties. And after that, the next thing we would do is to come up with a plan for this nation. You know, where are we going to take Zambia? That was central to what we were doing. And then thirdly, we would choose a person from amongst us who would be capable of leading the nation based on the plan that we had done. Because the reason we did, that order is, and then of course form government, the reason we did that order is, if we said we choose a flag bearer first, then come up with a plan. You know, in Zambia, we like this, then we'll start fighting each other for attention for this flag bearer. We said, let's do this plan for Zambia, not for the person, but for Zambia, before we choose a flag bearer, so that we have this level playing field in terms of, if I say something, you are going to judge it on its own merit and not because I'm the flag bearer. You see what I mean?
Yes.
We were trying to take a very different approach. Now, unfortunately, when some of the other parties came in, they wanted to change things, and with a lot of confusion ensuing thereafter, resulted in some parties leaving and forming the Tonse. Now, there were After that, there were 5 parties left. And initially there were 16, now there were 5 parties left. Again, we split up, one of the parties left, or 2 of the parties left. And then eventually even Jackson went to join, what's it, Sangwa?
Yeah, New Movement.
Something MNR. Yeah, so of that original Oka, Sakwiva Scott and myself are left. And we have always believed that we need to work together with others. And hence, the United Kwacha Alliance has shifted. When I say shift, we have slid.
Does it mean that Oka has been disbanded?
We haven't disbanded, but we are not using it because we have slid into the United, we are One Zambia Alliance.
Does it mean an alliance in an alliance?
Let's just say we've put it on the shelf.
Okay.
I think that is the best way to say it. We've put it on the shelf. Let's not complicate things by saying an alliance in an alliance. No. Put it on the shelf. Okay, we have our reasons for not disbanding it, but we have put it on the. We consulted with our new
colleagues and partners because we did say, look, should we just disband it or no? We agreed with our new colleagues that let's put it on the shelf. Don't disband it. Put it there, and let's move with our colleagues in the We Are One Zambia Alliance.
Yes.
We have moved into the One Zambia Alliance because we do not believe that...
Before we move to One Zambia Alliance and I come to Honorable Mwabilungu, at the time this alliance, UKA, is on the shelf, is it going to be useful in as far as governance is concerned?
Look, by putting something on the shelf, it means that you could use it later or you may not. Okay. We may use it later, we may not. But as things stand, we've opted to just put it on the shelf. And we are now in We Are One Zambia Alliance. Yeah.
Great.
But I think it's important to say that we moved into the One Zambia Alliance because of our approach to doing politics. You see, Zambia's got such great big problems and they need all of us to come together and resolve the problems. We'll be speaking into that a bit later.
Absolutely. Honorable Mwabilungu, We Are One Zambia Alliance. Why was that?
Yeah, okay. First of all, give me the opportunity to just make a comment on your opening remarks.
Please.
You made a comment regarding the fact that you said that most alliances are made after the elections. As opposed to...
No, I said before. Only the coalition are made after the elections.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Yes, please.
Now, I wanted to just say that demarcation of coalitions and alliances, it's important to understand that coalitions are usually made in parliamentary systems where you do not have a threshold of 50+1. Usually, in many parliamentary systems, you've got a proportional representation system. So that is the English one and the South African one. And many jurisdictions where they've got a parliamentary system and a proportional representation, the way to go is a coalition because you want to ascertain the standing of the parliamentary seats that have been obtained in the legislature, and then you've got probably a prime minister and a president or whatever like that. Now, for presidential systems such as ours, the coalition route is usually a weaker way to go, because in a presidential system you've got a president that is on a separate ballot compared to the members of parliament, and that creates its own political dynamics which necessitate that coalitions, that alliances must come before. Okay.
Yes.
Secondly, in our particular type of presidential system, there's a 50+1 clause. Okay? So one of the factors that invariably pushes all of you to consider an alliance is the consideration of whether you will have got the capacity to get that 50+1 percentage that you require in order for you to win the presidential seat, because that it is a very executive system. Of course, we've said that hopefully, should the people of Zambia give us the opportunity to govern, that we will relook at this properly, not in a rushed system. So one of the necessities, obviously, from that point of view is, and if I can just give you a very quick figure, is the fact that as you know, today the ECZ have announced 8.8 registered voters. Okay, and if you take a percentage of voter turnout of say 77.6%, which was what was last year, that will give you a number of 6,700,000, somewhere there. And if you take 50%,
or last year or the last elections.
Last elections.
You mean last year or last elections?
No, I'm saying that the voters, the voter registration according to the ECZ now is that we have got 8.8 registered voters. It's a provisional.
Yes.
We've got issues to say, and we'll say them later. Okay, maybe the days come. Now, I was saying if we use the percentage voter turnout of the last election, that is 2021, which was 70.61. Actually, it was 70.61. Yeah. So it means for a voters register of 8.8, if 70.61 voters turn out, the number will be 6.7 million. I mean, exactly to have 6.7 million. Okay, and so on. So, in order for anyone to win in the next election of 2026 next year, in order for you to get 50+1, you need more than 3.3 million votes. You understand me? Now, the UPND in the last election got 2.8. They would be short. The main opposition political party, the PF, got 1.8. They would be short. Okay. All of the other opposition party received votes far lower than those two. So, from a practical point of view, and this is not to denigrate anyone, any one of us, from a practical point of view, if you are planning, you know that your minimum threshold for you to win is 3.2, and we can look at the exact figures, at another time. That is a very high threshold to meet. So, from an electoral point of view, it makes a lot of sense for as many opposition political parties to come together in order to make it a realistic gunning for that 3.2, because even the current government is going to find it difficult to reach that figure, and there are other stipulations. So that is one of the reasons. It is one of the reasons. It's not the only reason. It is one of the reasons why I think that the five of us have decided to come together, because governance and trying to govern ultimately is about whether you have got the capacity to get in government and govern. Now, obviously, you can also stay in the opposition, okay? But ultimately, all of the political parties, they believe that if we get into government, we will be able to implement the policy frame that we have. So you can't make decisions, I'll just be in the opposition forever. Then you're not doing it. So that is one of the reasons.
Yes.
So that is one of the reasons we've come up together. We are One Zambia Alliance, WAZA. Okay. The second part of the question you asked, why WAZA? Okay. And that is in relation to other alliances, as my president was answering. And that is this. If you study one of the reasons why many alliances don't work, one of those is that they tend to be a concentration on just the obtaining of power, which is what I was just talking about, just obtaining of power. And because of the structure of the Zambian political system, that obtaining of power has been over-invested on the presidency. Okay? So most political parties and even alliances then concentrate on a coming together of the presidencies and not the other downstream party issues. Now, Why Woza is different is that is not how we
In
started.
fact, that's where I was coming.
Yeah.
Just be patient with me. Honorable Mwabilungu, I have had an opportunity to sit with you on the platform at some point.
Yeah.
And you shared your brief political history, which began as early as the Kaunda era. So you must have an idea of the Zambian political alliances history.
Yeah.
But to make it easier for you and those following us, let us briefly outline how it looks like. And that's where I said, just give me a little bit of time here. Early post-independence period, 1964 to 1990, Zambia's first decades were dominated by a single political force, UNIP under Kenneth Kaunda. Opposition parties existed, but alliances were weak because Kaunda's extended control and eventual transition to a one-party state from 1973 to 1991. This era lacked formal alliances due to legal and political constraints on multi-party competition. Multi-party reintroduction and opposition fronts, 1991. With the collapse of the one-party state, MMD was formed as a broad coalition of unions, ZCTU, business factions, civil society actors, among others.
Students.
And students as well.
Because he was a student.
Yes, I'm sure I was one of those that were trooping to State House, yes.
Yes.
While not an alliance of parties, MMD functioned as a multi-bloc political front that removed UNIP from power in 1991. 2001 to 2008, fragmentation and short-lived coalitions after internal splits in MMD, FDD, UPND, and other emerged. This period saw attempts at formal cooperation, but no durable alliances. The presidential contest remained fractured, allowing MMD to retain power. 2009 to 2011, the Pact era, UPND-PF Pact, perhaps the best non-formal opposition alliance in Zambia. Objective, to remove MMD under Rupia Banda in 2011. Breakdown occurred over leadership selection, messaging, and candidate hierarchy rather. PF went on to win the 2011 elections alone under Michael Sata. In 2016 to 2021, UPND's broad opposition front under President Chishala, who is the Republican president now, gradually consolidated various opposition forces. Collaborations with leaders like Charles Milupi, ADD, and Felix Mutati, MMD faction, contributed a quasi-alliance structure. Not a classic coalition, but a strategic convergence leading to 2021 victory over PF. 2021 present, emerging realignments. After UPND's victory, opposition space has fragmented again. New Congress Party under Peter Chanda, PF faction, Socialist Party, and smaller parties, including the hawkers of today, are negotiating potential joint fronts to challenge the current government in 2026. Zambia historically circles between fragmentation of opposition under strong ruling party dominance, followed by consolidation in the run-up to elections. Of course, lessons from the past political alliances and what is coming out is that leadership disagreements are the chronic fault line in Zambian alliances. Personal political rivalry often outweighs shared objectives. Honorable Lungu, when you speak of a political alliance like Woza, what distinguishes this particular alliance from those we've just highlighted?
Yes. No, you see, this is what I was answering. That one of the greatest distinctions of Woza is that we did not start working together on the basis of an electoral pact. Okay? You have to follow. You are following me?
Yes.
Because the first answer I gave you was on the basis of what is required in an electoral pact, particularly as it regards a presidential system which has got a 50+1. I'll get back to that in short, and I won't be long. But I was saying that we did not start this Woza on the basis of an electoral pact. If you recall, the first thing that brought us together was the issue of the census report that had been disputed by the chairman of the Public Service Commission. And so the first press conference which we gathered all of the political parties, and we were 10, was on an issue not on elections or anything. It was on an issue, and that issue was to do with the census and how that census then has implication on other areas such as the electoral process, the ECZ, and so on. And we made it very clear that we've come together because of this issue, not because we are competing against each other on the basis of the presidential race. The second press conference that we held as all of us together, again, was an issue, was on a specific issue. I believe it was on the Constitution.
Yes.
It, again, we made it very clear that we have come together because this issue of the Constitution deals with all of us in terms of where we want to take this as a country. I think the third press conference, we've had about 4 or something. I think the third press conference was now about cyber security, cyber act, and so on and so on. So what brought all of these political parties at the initial stage was not a political contest, but on specific issues. And one of the reasons it has taken us so long to come together to these 5 to create WARSA, was the fact that in the very beginning we had made the decision that let us not rush to creating structures and coming up with an alliance for purposes of creating an electoral pact. I think that it is very important that we get an understanding of each other regarding what the policy issues are, to do with the constitution, to do with the economy, and to do with exactly and so on, so that we can make an assessment is which ones of us here actually think that we can work together and find a way in which we agree on the issues first. So the first distinction between WARSA and all the other political parties is the fact that we did not come together with the view of presidential competition. I think that this is a fundamental position. And I'm sure that my colleague has got other issues to do. But let me just deal with the other part of what you're saying, then I will stop.
Please.
You talked about alliances in the past, and you said one of the most prominent alliances you talked about was the UPND Pact. But that is not the most successful alliance, actually, in the history of Zambia.
Not really successful because it didn't work. But it was the most pronounced.
But you said it was the most prominent. That is why I wanted to say you that the electoral pact that actually did work to a certain degree was a pact called UDA in the 2006 election, which combined UNIP, UPND, and FDD. Yes. Okay. Now, it worked because they actually did go to an election as a pact. Okay. Now, they didn't succeed in winning an election. Okay. Many of us, and this is a personal opinion now, many of us think that the reason why that particular pact did not work was because they did not handle the issue of who stood under that pact properly. If you may recall that when there was an agreement that UPND should take the lead in terms of putting the forward candidate, the president of the UPND at that time was Anderson Mazok, who was fairly well known. He had gone for an election earlier, but unfortunately he died. The argument from the UPND was that since they had already chosen a candidate from the UPND, they insisted that it should be the new candidate, which was HH. He was just a new person. I think he had become president of UPND just 4 months before, or 3 months, or something like that. Instead of having the decency to say, okay, look, I've just come, maybe let us consider the other 2 who were on the ballot last time or whatever, HH refused, and it almost broke the unit. It's just so that the 2 other political parties saw sense, and my information is that there was an intervention from Dr. Kaunda at the time, because Tirenje was a part of it, who persuaded the others to just let him have it. If they had made a proper selection, I believe that they may actually have won as a unit, because combined the 3 of them, you had FDD, which in the previous election had 13%. You had UNIP, which in the previous election had 10%. You had, of course, UPND, which in the previous election had 27%. So they would have actually won it. But that is the most prominent one. Then lastly,
Yes, please.
the alliances that took off before 2016 were not as necessary. Because there was no 50+1 threshold before that. Okay? So all of the presidents that won before that, if you recall, Michael Sata, Arabi, Nawasa himself in the first round, all of them won below. They got below. Michael Sata got 42%. He won with 42. Arabi also, I think, won with 44. Manawasa in his first count won with 29% of the vote. Okay? So there was no 50+1. Now we're talking about a 50+1 position. It means that the threshold is much higher. And if you are thinking about having a possibility of winning, you have to consider that. So there is also a greater necessity right now. All those people who think that they can do it on their own and increase from the last election where maybe they got, say, 50,000 to 3 million, that is a tall order, my brother. So I'll leave it there.
Please.
Maybe I can add.
Yes,
I can
please.
add to that, because you are asking what is it that makes WOZA different
Yes,
in
please.
terms of approach. You recall I talked about UKA and how we intended to approach this whole process. In WOZA, we came together around issues, not around a person.
Right.
Because what we are saying is, this business of a savior president is not really helping us. Because this savior president comes and says, oh, I'll come and do this, I'll come and do that. But what we do need...
In fact, Madam President, that's where I was coming to,
Okay.
in terms of as to why, the same question probably that I asked Honorable Mwabilungu. From what has been highlighted in the Zambian political alliance history, the objective in most cases has always been to remove the incumbent, and not based on policy values. Would you consider alliances in Zambia built on policy values, or are they more of survival tools to unseat incumbents?
Okay.
Is this what WOZA is advocating for?
So, WOZA is different in that we came together. I mean, look, we are what? This is the 61st year, is it?
Yes.
61 years of independence. And when you look at where we are and where we could be, are two different things.
Yes.
We continue to, our people continue to wallow in poverty, high cost of living, all sorts of problems. And we are saying, Zambians are pretty intelligent people. We've got very good minds across the country, and we can do much better. Everybody agrees that we can do much better. So what is the problem? So we've come together, we've discussed all these problems, and we've said, no, we must, the model of politics that we are doing, where winner takes all. So no matter how good you are, as long as you are not in my space or in my camp, you cannot bring your ideas to building up this nation. And we say that we need to do politics differently. We need to stop this business of saying, oh, I'm heritage, is Zambia we want, is whatever party. But let's take all these minds and put them together to come up with policies that will change this nation forever, for the good of the Zambians. So the primary thing that we have focused on as WOZA is actually the solutions for this nation. Now, when you have individual political parties, New Heritage will have maybe 2 or 3 people that have got, who are at that level where they can contribute. Zambia, we want to have some, and each party will have some of these minds that can begin to work on the solutions for this nation. But 3 people cannot form government. So let's come together. Let's come up with policies. And our overarching aim is to take the Zambians and put them central to what we are doing. We can't have people who are so poor 61 years after independence in such a rich country. And we are saying, let's find the solution to this. Let's sort this out. And then the issue of coming up with a flag bearer is you choose from amongst these. However, one of the things we've agreed is we don't want this starring president who ran away. You know, once he gets into government, he starts to dictate as though suddenly he's got this wisdom which he never had or she never had before. So to that extent, what we've decided to do is to sign a social contract.
Great.
Okay, amongst ourselves. This is the plan that we've agreed, and you sign to this plan. This is what we are going to do in the first 5 years, and this president must sign and be answerable to the rest of the team and to the nation. So this contract is very key because we must hold each other accountable. We are not interested in a president who Mohabi Lungu cannot speak to and say, Mr. President or Madam President. That's not what we agreed. What is this? So we don't want a winner-take-all approach. We don't want a messiah. We want a team.
Yes.
If you go back to 1964, that was a team, by the way. Okay, later on Kaunda became Kaunda, but before that, he was part of a team. Look at what they achieved. 1991, the first 5 years, look at what MMD achieved because of a team. But thereafter, we've always had these starrings, you know? The starring will say, no, it has to be like this, it has to be, no. We need minds that are focused on tilting the economic balance of power towards Zambians. We must take our people out of poverty. And the only way we can do that is by being servants to the people, being selfless to the people. Now, our approach has been that we come up with this plan, and then we are going through a process. Remember that Mohabi told you that when we started, there were 11 of us.
Yes.
So we decided that the way to not break up, you remember, Oka, we made this announcement and it went viral. Everybody, Oka. And then we broke up. This time we said we don't want to go through that. I think the Zambians deserve better. They deserve stability. So what did we do? We said let's deal with the issues in-house before we announce ourselves. Okay? So we said what are
the... also choosing the leader of the alliance, the one who is going to take the alliance
to
the election.
That's where I'm coming to. So what we decided to do is let's deal with the issues that are likely to break us up before we announce. Let's sort ourselves out. So some of the 11 were saying, no, we just need to sit around the table and say, Maidon is going to be president. Others said, no. We must go through a process to choose a flag bearer. So, we talked months. We've been talking for about 9 months, sorting out those issues, okay? And now there are only 5. Meaning, if we had announced first, we would have broken up, okay? But we didn't announce first. We sorted out those issues. Those who left, and those who are here are now here. Meaning, we have now come to a place where we have a process. We've agreed the process. We have signed it of how we are going to choose a flag bearer, how we are going to choose a running mate.
Do you have enough time to do that? Because we only have but a few months before the elections.
Of course. Do you really think that
we are still talking about the process?
No. I said we have agreed.
Okay.
I'm not saying we are talking about it. We have agreed. That's why we've announced, because we are now in a position where we've agreed the process of choosing a flag bearer, a running mate. We have agreed the process of choosing even our elective. We will soon be announcing all of these things. However, our flag bearer is going to be chosen through a process that we are working. We have already started that process. On the 24th of January, at the most on the 31st of January, you have a flag bearer from among us.
Great. We
are also inviting other people to come, but they need to agree to what we have already discussed and said, guys, this is the process. These are the values that we have. We want people who want to serve this nation to be in Woza. That's what makes us different from other. It's not around an individual, it's around ideas, and it's around a team.
Absolutely.
But before you ask the next question, let me just add to her. So the process we have selected is one, as she has already said, elections by the 24th of January, maximum the 31st of January. We will have a flag bearer. Two, we've set up very strict rules and regulations of the electoral process. We're going to have a register. Currently, the register will be composed of 300 delegates on the electoral roll. And those 300 will compose of 175 delegates, which will come from the political parties concerned. And each of the political parties will send an equal number of delegates of those 175. Then the other 125, we've said, will come from non-political players, meaning not us, but we will ask other organizations in this country who want to be able to help us select a flag bearer which is the most sellable. So we will be writing to civil society organizations, we will be writing to the church mother bodies, we will be writing to maybe the trade unions to be able to also help us with delegates who we don't know whether they will accept or not. We hope that they will, because one of the things we don't want to do it, as she was saying, we don't want to have a secret club. We want to have a process which is transparent and is aided by others, so that it's more transparent. Thirdly, we have all agreed that we will request for an independent electoral commission. So again, we will write to the right, I think the letters are going out next week, to the right organizations which can help us set up an electoral commission so that the elections are superintended not by any of us within the political parties. Then we are hoping that by January 3, that we will then have a filing in of nominations, and we are hoping that maybe some other people can join us, because this is open to others, and then we will have a 3 weeks period for all who are interested to campaign. Then we have the elections on January 24. So you can see it's a very open and transparent process. There will be debates of all the candidates. We will broadcast. We will ask you to broadcast and help us to broadcast live, so that there is no hanky-panky, and this is what President Chishala Kateka was saying, that some of our colleagues, were not so keen on such an open process. They wanted a process where, as she said, let's have that one. And we've seen that this is what breaks most alliances. So her point is that some of those issues we said, in fact, I recall it at many meetings, it was President Chishala who insisted that let us deal with the issues which we've observed have got the capacity of breaking a group. And we resolve those issues before we announce. So very transparent, very open. We are proud to be members of Woza. Yes. And we are saying to all of the Zambian people, Woza, meaning come and be part of our process. And as she said that when she gives you a date of saying 24th, latest 31st, what she's also saying is that we have created some minor allowances for adjustments in according to others if are going to join us. So we're very transparent. Please come and be part of this beautiful process.
If you've just joined us, this is the Platform Radio program, and appearing on the program today we have a New Heritage Party president, and she is also a member of We Are One Zambia Alliance Council of Presidents, Madam Chishala Kateka. We also have the Zambia We Want Secretary General General, and at the same time, he is We Are One Zambia Alliance was Secretary General and spokesperson, Honorable Mwabilungu. On the program today, we are discussing leadership, governance, and Zambia's future. Unfortunately, time doesn't seem to allow us to discuss Zambia's future and everything and governance, but we'll try in the few minutes that we have. I'm just hoping that Honorable Mwabilungu will not be speaking at 10-16 minutes at one topic. All right, and we're discussing leadership, governance, and Zambia's future. Let's continue with our conversation. Honorable Mwabilungu, I want you to be brief on this particular one because I also want to discuss the CSOs in amalgamation with the alliances such as yours, and to avoid, because we've seen CSOs coming under fire because probably they're associating themselves with political parties and alliances such as yours. Now, Honorable Lungu, democratic value of alliances. Let us discuss national impact. As much as society has come to appreciate the spirit of unity through political alliances, do alliances enhance democracy or dilute party identity?
No, short. You said short. Or maybe I should give you a chance first.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Look, I'm an economist. First and foremost, I rarely talk about economists now because governance issues have dominated the airwaves so much.
Yes.
But essentially, I'm an economist. And as an economist, you will see that an economy, the economies that are very big in the world, have got two basic components. They have got a number of much smaller companies at the level of partnership and at the level of single propriety, okay? But almost all of the big economies also have what they call consolidation. That these are mega companies and multinationals. Now, the interplay between those multinationals and the other smaller groups is what gives the driving process, the resources, the capacity in order to finance the economy to move forward, okay? One of the things that we've had in this country consistently is that we've had just too many single proprietorships which don't have any linkages to a lot of partnerships and a lot of big cooperation. So one of the things that we want to do within the political space is to be able to consolidate some of the political parties so that we can have these conglomerates that then gives linkages to the smaller ones. So ideally we should be able to have at least 3-4, large parties. You can have other smaller parties which are, like in the UK, you have smaller parties like the Green Party, what is the new with Nigel Farage. Even in the US, most people do not know that the US actually has got a lot of political parties, but most people only know the Republicans and the Democrats, and because the smaller political parties kind of feed into the bigger ones. In fact, the Democratic Party is actually a coalition of many political parties that come from the various states. It's the same with the Republican Party. So if we want to consolidate our political system, we need to have this consolidation in political party. Hopefully, in the longer run, some of the political parties might even come together. But for now, our concern is that we do it. So that is my answer.
Yeah, I said brief. You've gone beyond. Madam Kateka, Madam Kateka,
yes.
I know you want to come in, but this is also very important. Madam Kateka, from the history we have seen that one of the political parties went into an alliance mostly with civil society organization. How is WAZA incorporating CSOs to save their integrity, bearing in mind the criticism from state actors who have vowed to treat certain CSOs who have had engagements with opposition political parties that moving forward they will be treated as political opponents?
Yeah. When you look at Zambia's history and CSOs, they take a position. Okay, so and I'm not talking about the ones that are formed for the purposes of getting brown envelopes. No, I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the real CSOs who have been formed around a cause. They are formed around a certain stand in society. They've said, look, we want to safeguard democracy, we want to do this, we want to do this. Now, it's very strange that when you have a political party in opposition, like New Heritage Party,
Yes.
we are in opposition, we'll be clapping for the CSOs, because they are supporting what we see as safeguarding the Zambian people and the democracies. But the moment we get into power, we change the stance and we say this CSO is political. How is it political? Even the church have a stand. Their calling, if you like, is to speak for the Zambian people. And when they see the government not doing what they should do, they raise their voices against what the government is doing, which is not okay. Now, when this particular government was in opposition, they said, oh, the church is great, the CSOs are great. But the moment they go in there, why? What changes? What changes is the fact that...
We should be asking you politicians that question.
Yes,
what changes?
That's why I'm answering. Yes. What changes is that these politicians who were in opposition are now in situ. They are now in government.
They become comfortable?
No, they don't even become comfortable. They begin to do the very thing that they were condemning. They begin to... Unfortunately, in Zambia, our government's primary goal is to stay in power. It's not to serve the Zambian people, it's to stay in power. And, we always say, why on earth don't you just do the right thing? Because if you do the right thing, you will stay in power. The reason people are fighting against you, the reason CSOs are fighting against you, the reason the church is fighting against you is you are not doing what you are supposed to do, which is to serve the Zambian people. So, the statement by this government to say that we are now going to treat, and I will name the particular one, the Oasis Forum as a political formation, is very unfortunate because the Oasis Forum, we are working with the UPND just before these elections. So what has changed? You see?
Right.
Yeah.
May I also just...
Please.
Yeah. Look, in your opening statements, you recall you talked about what happened prior to 1991. And you also spoke a little bit about who the opposition political parties were within the one-party state. Do you remember? It was the church, it was a trade union, and it was the students. Because of that history, those movements in Zambia have always played a political role. And sometimes those organizations have also played a role towards making sure not that you have a regime change, but that you have a, what do you call it, a political landscape change, which are two different issues. So in 1991, you know that the trade union, the students, the churches were very involved. In 1996, during the time when they bad Kaunda, again the same players. As my president said, in 2001 when Chilwa wanted to change the 50+1, they had a role. In 2016, they've always had a political role. Now, to suggest that those particular organizations should not delve into perhaps giving direction to the public as to which direction they should go, as they've always done, is to deprive the democratic system. Again, let us look at systems which are more advanced, like the US and the UK and Australia and the Canadian ones, which we know. You know that we all follow American politics. You know you have certain newspapers that will endorse a particular candidate. There are certain trade unions that will endorse a particular candidate. There are certain church groups that will endorse a particular candidate. Even in this country, they've done so. We have had the Catholic Church that issues pastoral letters. Yes. So you cannot divorce the CSOs from the political process. The political process is not only for us politicians. That is not correct. And as President Chishala said, when President Hichilema, when my friend Levi Ngoma, and all of those who've been issuing threats against CSO, when they were in the opposition, they were best friends with them, and they sought for their endorsement. They sought for them to be seen with them. There's even a picture today that is going around where HH is sitting with all the standing happily with all the Catholic bishops. So why should it be right that when you did it, it was right? When others are doing it, they say, why are they doing it? I mean, it's not fair.
Let's speak to other matters of governance. Right now, the nation is divided with regards the changes on the People's Document, constitutional reforms, the Bill number 7. But before we speak to matters surrounding Bill 7, time is really running out. Bill 7, in the WASA framework, how will citizens be part of policy shaping beyond the vote? Let me start with Madam Chishala Kateka.
You see, when we look at, and I'm not talking particularly Bill 7, because you've asked us, one of the things that we have noted in this nation is that we exclude Zambians from the process of governance, in that this document, which really belongs to them, excludes them. You know, the various review processes that we have had have not, some have been more consultative than others, but not adequately, because I think we have not gone far enough to sensitize the people. Do you know, we never ever translate the constitution and even the review process into the local languages. I mean, why do we, you know, the fact that I don't speak English does not mean that I'm not intelligent and I cannot understand. So if you translated this into my language, I will understand why. The importance is that the Constitution starts with the sentence or the phrase, we the people give ourselves, meaning the Zambians decide how they should be governed. Okay? They are at the core of this, but we have constantly kept them out. We are of the view, and also when you look at the Constitution from 1964, we were given a constitution that was an independence constitution prepared by the British, and we've taken this constitution and added reviews. You know, it's like Mulina jacket. You are just patching it. That's what we have been doing.
Madam Rwala Mete will call it vigamba.
That's all we are doing. We've just been patching it, but we've never really given ourselves a constitution of how we want to be governed.
Of the constitution.
People need to understand that that constitution has a bearing on even where we are economically, because it has centralized power in the presidency and things like that, and those have a bearing on what happens in this country. So one of the things that we would like to do is to give ourselves as a nation a constitution where we sit and we say, what do we want to see in this? We give ourselves a new constitution, a constitution. The second thing that we haven't done is we have never really looked into the future, 20, 30, 50, 100 years from now, and say, where are we going as a people? Now, that is not something that a president is going to sit in State House and come up with. We need to get people involved. Just so that you know, our president has never invited the opposition, any opposition party, to sit and discuss matters of the nation. We need to sit CSOs, opposition, ruling party, people out there, community leaders, and cast ourselves a vision of where we want to see Zambia going many years from now. And when we do that, in future, the political parties that come should not be competing on whatever we compete on. Who has got more money and who's giving out more money. That's not taking us anywhere. We should be competing on what are our plans in taking Zambia to where it should be going? How best can we do it? So his ideas might be better than mine, therefore we vote for him. Only then are we going to start seeing progress, because right now He will come with a vision. I have a vision. So when he has left office, I break down what he has done and I start building again. You know, and we mustn't do that. Development is incremental. Otherwise, we're not going to go anywhere.
If you've just joined us, this is the Platform Radio program, and appearing on the program today, we have New Heritage Party President, and she is also a member of We Are One Zambia Alliance, Council of Presidents, Madam Chishala Kateka. We also have Zambia We Want General, Secretary General, and at the same time, he is We Are One Zambia Alliance, was a Secretary General and spokesperson, Honorable Muhavi Lungu. On the program today, we are discussing leadership, governance, and Zambia's future. Let's try and see if we can bring in the callers. And the lines are officially open for your questions and contributions on the program. Call us by dialing the following numbers: 0977 5468 33, 5468 33, 0977 5468 33. Unfortunately, today we're not using the usual number. We've developed, which has developed a fort, but we'll try and use these other numbers. And 098 0069 876, 098 0069 877. Remember to indicate your name and the location you are calling from, and always remember to be courteous, rather. Absolutely amazing. Let's do this.
The views and opinions expressed are of the callers and listeners and not Joy FM Radio.
All right, as we wait for that particular call, Honorable Mwabilungu, let's speak to the issue of Bill 7. Why have you abandoned discussing the content of the bill? And let me just say, why have you abandoned discussing the content of the bill, Bill number 7 of 2025?
Okay. If I come to your house in the middle of the night, let's say about 10 or 11 o'clock at night, are you listening to me?
Yes, please.
Suppose I come to your house in the middle
please.
of the night and you had this problem that you had to deal with and you needed some money, and you had called me last week, oh Mojave, you know I'm really troubling, but I need help and I'm agent and you're sweating. Then one night I come to your house and I come and bring a bag full of rubies and diamonds and sapphire and whatever, and say to you, I drop this bag to you, and you say, I say, look, I found the money. Or I bring a bag of dollars just with $100 bills and I bring it to you and so on. And I said, here, let's share, and then you can resolve your problem. What will be your first reaction to me? You. And what would be the first reaction of every Zambian? Because I know what I would say, but I'm asking you, what would be your first reaction?
I'm still here to respond to you, so I wouldn't give my reaction, but with the love of money, obviously.
I know what your reaction would be.
Yes.
And I also know what the reaction
would be. To say, how come? Where is this money coming from?
That would be your reaction. You would say, zachoka kuti ndarama hizi. All these rubies and sapphire, where have you gotten it from? Okay? You will want to understand whether what I have brought to you is stolen, I robbed a bank, or I sold drugs, or I did whatever else. That is what a normal person would do. And if I keep on insisting, no, forget about where it's... Let's just share. Let's look what's in the bag and let's share. I even grab the money and I'm saying, no, listen. You would say, no, Mwavi, no, Alungu. First, kapena mabandalama is. That is the reasons why we as WAZA have said, let us not jump the argument of process, of what has happened. First, let us find out whether this is legit or not. The second question, even if I was to agree and find out that maybe, okay, you didn't steal the money and whatever, in this particular case, the UPND have not been able to successfully tell us that they haven't stolen the money, because we think that the chances is that they've stolen the money because the process has not been correct. But after we deal with the process, I would then ask that, okay, we've dealt with the process. Now, let me look at these diamonds and rubies and so on, just in case it is glass. Or let me see, maybe these $100 mwachosa ku matero. I'm not denigrating matero, but you know what I mean when I say mwachosa ku matero afakamo to my black dollars or whatever. The second process is that even if you are dangling to me this, suppose this is fake. Now, if I know you were a counterfeiter before, I have every reason to believe that this may be fake. And I have evidence. You said, oh, you bring the dollar rate from whatever, you lied. You said, oh, no, we will remove the middleman from all the prices, you lied. You said whatever. So I know you are a possible counterfeiter. And I must not trust you. Let's go to the bank and sure whether this ndalama will pass. So for me, that is my answer. I think that is quite clear what I'm saying. We have to know first, the process is extremely important. And in conclusion, it is said that justice must be seen to be done. In the judicial system, people have lost cases because you've taken and rushed a case to court and you did not read the person you arrested their rights. You did not get a permit to search to their house. You did not afford the victim a lawyer. All those things get into the calculation of whether you are going to be declared guilty or innocent. The process matters.
Madam Kateka, this process is almost going towards conclusion. The Bill 7 is on the floor of the House. You as a political party and as an alliance partner, what are you doing to ensure this process doesn't proceed according to probably how you want things done and be done how you want things done?
Right from the beginning, as a party, we have been writing and speaking to the public profusely so that people understand. You see, like I said before, we don't bother to break these things down so that the man on the street can understand what this is all about. Now, the Constitution, in its current form, states how you do a review of the same said Constitution. And there are certain things that the UPND have done. Number one, this constitution, as I said before, is a people-driven constitution, meaning we should say, no, Stifuna Makete ni red, we want whatever, and not the executive. Now, this particular, the amendments, where somebody sat in an office at State House or wherever and came up with the amendments, those 13 points they are talking about, were not from the people, they were from the executive, okay? And that is not right. And when the matter was taken to court, the Constitutional Court, they agreed that this is an executive-led amendment. The other thing that we had a problem with was the timing. Why are you changing a constitution a few months before the elections? What are you targeting? The third thing that we have a problem with is the issue of the delimitation, because the UPND are saying, no, this is about delimitation, etc., etc. You know, okay, where is the report? Which constituencies do you want to delimit? Yes. The fourth thing they've been saying is that we are doing this because of the women, the youth, and the disabled people. Now, our current constitution actually addresses that issue, because it actually says whenever you are choosing somebody in a position where you can nominate people, 50% should be women. You know, it actually says that. But why is it that we have failed to even get 50%? We don't have 50% in the councils. We don't have 50% in parliament. We don't have, of those 8 nominations, we don't have 50%. We are failing to do that, but we are saying, no, we need more women. Why haven't you put more women at all? When you go into the diplomatic service, how many women ambassadors do we have? Do you know? You are even recalling some. we are being disingenuous. We are not being truthful to the Zambian people of why we are doing this. So the process has not been in accordance with the Constitution. Here's the interesting thing.
Yes.
When the Constitutional Court actually said this constitutional review process is not legal, no, it's not, it's a nullity, the government appointed a 24-man technical team to go around the country in 2 months. In other times, this process took like 3 years. But here you are, 2 months. They bring this report. You don't even read it. You still go back to the original Bill 7 and you put it in Parliament. Now, look, this is something that people cannot fight against, because what will happen in Parliament will happen in Parliament. We've spoken, the parliamentaries, people have heard. Whether they side with the people or with the government is really up to them. But the fight doesn't stop here. We shall continue to talk. We shall continue to help the people to understand what the problems are.
Time doesn't seem to be on our side. I've seen Honorable Mwabe Lungu jotting 2-page write-up, which is not going to...
Next time, 2 hours.
Yes, Woto. Now we'll create time for you to appear.
Because these are important.
Very, very important.
But can I say one thing before you cut me off?
Yes, please.
Look, I'm enjoying myself being here with President Chishala Kateka.
Okay.
And I have worked with President Chishala Kateka some 20 years ago, when we were both on NEDIT, Copperbelt Diversification Program, and both of us were technocrats. And I say this because if you look at our team, the two of us, if you look at Ambassador George Chilumanda, if you look at President Sakwiva, if you look at Dr. Ponga, Honorable Simbao, Anford Banda, you know, I can boldly say that if you put just the 7 of us there I've mentioned and compare it with any other team currently in Zambia, any other team, take just the 7 of us and compare us with any other team, you will see people with political experience, people with the youth, you will see women, you will see economists, you will see people who have never stolen anybody's money. I can tell you for a fact that no one of us here can say these people stole money. So, Woza is a new deal. Woza.
Not the new dawn.
No, it's a new deal. I've deliberately said it. It's a new deal. And here we're talking about, or maybe I should say, is a real deal. Woza is a real deal. I know that in any form of alliance there will always be turbulences, there will always people who will cast aspersions, and leadership ultimately is about dealing with crisis. This thing that we have started is going to take the future of this country to a new level. Come and join us. Woza man. Woza woman, come.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so grateful to have you on.
It's a fresh start, yes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks.
All right. Your participation has undoubtedly contributed to meaningful and informative discussion. We've been talking to New Heritage Party President, and she is also a member of We Are One Zambia Alliance. Council of Presidents, Madam Chishala Kateka. We also had the Zambia We Want Secretary General, and at the same time, he is We Are One Zambia Alliance Woza Secretary General and spokesperson, Honorable Mwabe Lungu. On the program today, we were discussing leadership, governance, and Zambia's future, although we haven't dealt with all the things that we had planned to discuss due to time limitations. I've been your host. My name is Maidon Kilalo. Do join us next week, Monday, for yet another exciting edition of the Platform Radio program. God bless you. Bye-bye.
The Platform is a program that addresses your political, social, and economic well-being. Broadcast every Monday and Thursdays
at 09:30 hours
on Joy FM Radio. Call or SMS to participate. Remember, the views expressed on the platform are not of the station, but those of either the guests or the participants.